There are moments in life that arrive not by coincidence, but through sacred orchestration. This is one of those moments. If you are hearing these words right now, it's not an accident. This message was not designed for everyone, but it found its way to you. That means you are seen in ways you may not even fully understand. It means the timing is purposeful, and your presence here is intentional. This isn't just a video or another piece of content you randomly scrolled into. It's a whisper from eternity, nudging you to pause, to feel, to listen. Some messages are echoes, others are invitations. This one is an interruption, divine in nature, aimed straight at your soul. It knows what you're carrying, what you've been battling in silence, and what you haven't spoken aloud in a very long time. Right now, the eyes of heaven are not just watching your outer actions, but peering deep into your inner world, the hidden places, the silent corners, the thoughts you dare not say. There is a sacred attention being paid to you, and not because you're perfect, but because you're chosen. Chosen does not mean flawless. It means entrusted. And with that trust comes a responsibility you may feel but haven't yet fully named. There's a weight in your spirit, the kind you can't explain to anyone else. You've felt misunderstood, even isolated, yet strangely set apart. That's not random. That is the mark of divine favor, and also divine discipline. To be chosen means you are not exempt from the refining. In fact, you are watched more closely. Not for punishment, but for preparation. The calling on your life requires a higher standard, and God is deeply invested in your readiness. Every whispered prayer, every tear you've cried that no one else saw, they were heard. Every sacrifice that went unnoticed, every choice you made in secret to stay aligned with what's right, they were recorded. God is not just observing your life, He is involved in the shaping of it. He knows not just what you've been through, but what you're walking toward, and He's making sure you're ready for it. This moment is a mirror. It invites you to reflect, not just react. If your soul feels stirred right now, if your chest feels tight and your heart feels awakened, pay attention. Something sacred is happening. This isn't hype or manipulation, it's a divine intersection. Your awareness is being heightened because your next season is closer than you think, and you cannot walk into it blind. Before we go any deeper, it's important you stay connected. What's coming isn't meant to be consumed and forgotten. It's meant to be revisited, meditated on, and lived. If this resonates, if it speaks to something deep in your core, make sure you remain aligned with future messages. This isn't just information, it's transformation wrapped in words. And if something inside you is saying, "This is for me," don't just keep it to yourself. Mark the moment. Do something physical to match the spiritual. There's a number, 111, that carries weight in this space. It's more than digits, it's a symbol. It represents divine alignment, angelic agreement, and spiritual readiness. If you know in your spirit this is timely, type it, declare it, mark your agreement with heaven. You may not understand everything right now, but your spirit recognizes truth even when your mind is catching up. That's because your soul remembers things your eyes have never seen. The pull you feel isn't confusion, it's confirmation. Something ancient, something sacred, something eternal is trying to get your attention. Listen with your heart, not just your ears. You weren't just born to exist, you were born to awaken. To rise into a version of yourself that reflects the divine spark placed in you before time began. But awakening requires honesty. It requires clarity. It requires you to confront what's been hiding in plain sight, not to condemn it, but to cleanse it. That's what's about to happen here. The path ahead won't be easy, but it will be holy. The revelations coming next are not for shallow hearts. They're for the courageous, the willing, the ones ready to shift, release, and evolve. You will not be the same after this. But that's the point. The goal was never to stay the same. The goal is to become who heaven intended you to be. This is a safe space, but it is also a sacred space. Truth will be spoken here. Not soft, sugar-coated truths, but bold, convicting ones that pierce the fog and break illusions. Not to shame you, but to free you. You didn't come here for comfort. You came here for clarity. You came here because somewhere inside you were ready for change. So breathe. Settle your mind. Let your defenses drop. You're not being exposed to be punished. You're being seen so you can be healed. Heaven is extending an invitation, not an accusation. Will you accept it? Because what happens next isn't just teaching, it's transformation. The journey begins now. There comes a moment in every awakened soul's journey when the truth can no longer be ignored. You've grown. You've overcome things you once thought would destroy you. Old habits, painful patterns, and destructive relationships no longer define your daily life. You've stepped into a greater awareness, walked away from shadows, and started speaking the language of healing. But with elevation comes a new danger, a hidden seed that grows quietly, a belief that you've arrived, a subtle pride that tells you you're better now, more enlightened, more righteous. And slowly, your heart begins to forget its own history. This seed grows silently in the background of victories. Each compliment waters it. Each silent glance at someone still lost in their struggle becomes a mirror of judgment. You tell yourself you're just discerning. You believe you're walking in wisdom. But what's really taken root is a sense of separation. As if you've earned your growth and others are choosing their pain. That's the quiet infection of spiritual pride. It doesn't shout. It nods silently. It folds arms instead of extending hands. And without even realizing it, you begin to withhold the very compassion that once rescued you. You forget the pit you crawled out of. You forget the grace that found you when you were deep in your own confusion. Instead of lifting others, you begin measuring them. Instead of praying, you begin judging. And it feels justified, because pride always hides behind perceived holiness. Then comes another shadow, even more subtle. You smile when others win, you congratulate them. But inside, something aches. You wonder why their prayers are being answered, and yours feel like echoes. You compare silently, their progress to yours, their moment to your waiting. And even though your mouth says, "I'm happy for them," your spirit whispers, "What about me? That's not evil, that's human." But when left unchecked, that internal ache becomes a wedge between you and the peace God has prepared for you. What you're feeling is a distortion, a shift in focus that moves your eyes off your lane and onto someone else's. Every scroll, every announcement, every success that doesn't include your name starts to feel like proof of being overlooked. But you're not forgotten. You're not behind. Your life isn't missing anything that was meant for you. And sometimes the delay is divine. It's not punishment. It's preparation for a blessing that's meant to build you, not break you. When your heart starts to feel anxious or bitter about someone else's joy, that's not a reason for shame. That's a call to realignment, a signal that your soul needs to return to the source. Because God will never bless you with something you will worship more than Him. And the more you chase what others have, the more you risk forfeiting what's uniquely yours. There's also that moment when you know what you're supposed to do. You feel it deeply, but you hesitate. You hear the nudge in your spirit, you recognize the call, but you pause, convincing yourself you're not ready. You delay the step, waiting for more confirmation, for clearer signs. But what you're calling wisdom is often just fear in disguise. And in the kingdom, delay can cost more than you realize. The truth is, obedience doesn't require certainty. It requires trust. And when God speaks, He's not looking for your perfection. He's looking for your yes. The longer you wait, the heavier it becomes. You miss momentum. You lose time. And sometimes the door doesn't stay open forever. What you were meant to walk through in faith begins to close while you're standing still in doubt. And then there's that deeper wound, the one you tell yourself is healed. You've forgiven, at least outwardly. You've smiled and said all the right words. But late at night, the memory still stings. You don't curse their name, but you replay the betrayal. You don't talk about it, but you feel the tension rise when their name is mentioned. That pain is still active, and it's costing you more than you know. Carrying resentment silently is like dragging invisible chains. You may be moving forward, but the weight slows your steps. You may speak of love and light, but the bitterness buries your glow. And God sees that, not to shame you, but to set you free. Because you were never meant to carry what He already paid to release. Forgiveness isn't about validating the offense. It's about choosing freedom over bondage. Another trap comes with time, the comfort that replaces hunger. You still say the right words. You wear your faith like a badge. But something has grown quiet in you. You've traded the fire for routine. You speak about spiritual things, but you haven't really sat with the Spirit. You've quoted scriptures, but haven't surrendered to their truth. You talk about healing, but resist the process that hurts before it helps.